Here we have the inside of the Swift Lifestyle 6. If we firstly come to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we then have down this side here buttons that operate the lighting. So this one here will turn the awning light on and off. This one will operate the top lighting. And then this one will then operate the rest. They can all then individually be turned on and off on their own switches. The bottom button turns the water pump on and off. Water pump needs to be on for us to be able to get water out of the taps and fill the boiler up if it's been drained down. The actual screen itself, so we have L for leisure battery, so it's just letting us know the leisure battery is powering the caravan, as it were. We then have a little picture of a sun, and that will appear whenever the solar panel is active. We then have a lightning strike letting us know we have main supply connected, and then the time, and then along the bottom and in the middle here the condition of the leisure battery. If we now begin to scroll, we can then go through a series of screens giving us varied amounts of information. So if we start at the beginning, so this is a Sargent EC620 control panel. If you want to be using the Swift command tracker, as it were, you will need what's known as an M number. You get that by pressing this button here. First it will display software, then comms, and then if I press it again it would then display the unique M number that you need to give to Swift if you want to use the tracker system. It is a paid subscription. After that we then have system settings, and in that we have the clock set, Bluetooth delete, Bluetooth pair. So if we're going to be using the Swift command app, you need to come into here to be able to pair up to it. Tank alarms on and off, we've got them off because we don't have any onboard tanks on this model of caravan. How quickly before the blue LEDs go out, and how quickly the backlight goes out when we're not using the control panel. Key beeps on or off, and then set the rest of your dates, etc. and time until it eventually goes back to exit the settings. After that we then have heater settings. Just leave it on manual. We cannot control the Truma system via the Swift command app. The Swift command app will only operate the Aldi heating system. We then have dimmer level for the lights up the top. And then after that, internal temperature, AC limit. So at the moment we're using 3.3 amps. If you know how many amps the site is, you can literally pick, and that way it will then stop you from tripping. So if you plug in something else that's going to go above the amp limit, it just basically will not work. And you can see it goes right the way up to 16 amps, which is the highest you'll find on any UK site. Select your battery. Obviously we can only select the leisure battery, we're not a motorhome. What the solar panel is actually popping in, so you can see it's actually putting in 0.8 amps at the moment. And it's letting us know the leisure battery's charging, and then we're back to the beginning again. Beside that we then have the Truma control panel. At the moment it's just displaying the time and letting us know we have main supply connected. If I now press the button, we will then get a series of icons. I'm just going to quickly just use the brightness button just so we can actually see the control panel. So as you can see, we have all these icons, and as I rotate the button they begin to flash. If we start with the first icon just here, this one is for your heating. Heating is off. All we now need to do is just rotate the button and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the caravan, and it'll go right the way up to a rather toasty 30 degrees. So let's say we want it to be 30 degrees in here at the moment. Click the button and you'll see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you have set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually in operation, the little flame will begin to flash. After that, we then have hot water, and again hot water is off. All we now do is rotate, and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat it in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off as it needs the extra power to do so. And again, it will continue to flash until the temperature you have asked has been achieved. After that, we then have power source. So we are currently using mains electricity at 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, so if we're on a lower amp site. We can use a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatt, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. And then if we don't have any mains at all, we can just use gas. After power source, we then have circulation fan for the heating system. So currently the fan is in eco mode. What I can do is either put it up to high or put it into boost. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So we literally just set when we would like the timer to begin and then finish. And then once we've done that, we literally just set what we would like on in that time period. So let's say heating at 18 degrees, hot water at 60. We do want to be using dual fuel, and we'll leave the fan in eco. Once we've done all that, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and then within that time period those settings would apply. If I now return to it, I can turn it back off again, and when we go back in we can then alter it again. After timer, we then just have clock set, and then lastly we have the settings menu. So within this we have offset, which is just for the thermostat, just there. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it by a few degrees. We then have temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen itself, 12 or 24 hour clock, language, index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running, and then lastly full factory reset. From time to time these control panels will throw up error codes. If that happens, what will appear is a little warning triangle where my finger is here, and then if you click on it, it will display a series of letters and numbers. And then if you look in the manual or Google it, you can find out what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, if you just rectify the problem, the error code will automatically disappear. If that's not the case, once you think you've rectified it, double click on the error icon, and then sometimes it will say no error and then disappear. If you still have no luck with that, I then always say if you've still got stuff running like I have at the moment, just make sure you've turned them off. Again, still no luck. It's the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again. And the way we turn it off is just by holding this button in here and continue to hold it until it says off. If when you turn it back on again, you still have no joy, I then say always just do the factory reset. You can't hurt the control panel. Sometimes these can just glitch and they just need a slightly harder reset. The majority of the time error codes will be I do not have main supply connected, or I do not have gas. Okay, if we now move across to the front bench seat just here, and we just remove the cushions, we can then get to the consumer unit, which is just here. So we have the trip switches just here, so we have the 3 individual MCBs, the main RCD and test button just there, and then we have the 12 volt fuses just there, again all labelled up. They correspond on the sticker just here. Along the top we have isolators for components that use main supply. So we have this amber light just here, and if I turn this off, it's for the heating and hot water control panel. So if I do turn that off, we will get an error code on the Truma control panel if we're trying to use main supply. So really this can be left alone. We then have the green one, which is for the battery charger just here. Again, if we turn this off and we're hooked up to main supply, we will not be charging the leisure battery. So again, we want to really leave that one alone. This one will illuminate if we have reverse polarity, which you will only really find on foreign campsites occasionally. If that is the case, it is only dangerous if you are messing around with the electrics. A lot of people will just carry a secondary Continental adapter with the plus and the minus wired round the opposite way. We then also have full system shutdown just here. So if you're not using the caravan for long periods of time, what you can do is press this button and it will then kill any residual draw on the leisure battery itself. Also in here we have the back of the battery box just here. We then have the water pump and the surge dampener just here. The boiler just sits underneath this part here, and the drain valve for it is just here. It's in the closed position at the moment to drain the boiler down for travel and winterization. All we need to do is make sure that the water pump is turned off and then flap up like so. I have left the water pump switched on, so now all it's frantically trying to do is refill the boiler back up again. So to refill, flap back over, make sure you've got your submersible in your aqua roll, fill it up, turn the water pump on, and then the water pump will then begin to fill the boiler back up again. You may sometimes need to then run the taps to then blow all the air out, and then close back up again, and then the boiler will fully prime itself. Tucked down in the corner just here we have the PIR sensor for the alarm. And then if we go across to the other bench seat, you will see the alarm box just here, and then tucked right at the very back there is also some more fuses. Again, they're labelled up, and they are for more components really on the outside of the caravan, like marker lights, the 12 volt feed from the hitch electrics to the fridge. Next we have the stereo. So we do have USB connectivity just here, and auxiliary, CD in here and eject here. We then have change tracks or search for radio stations just here, volume control, easy graphic equalizer just here. If you want to get up into its setup menu, just hold the display button in and then navigate on the volume button. Back button just here. And then to turn the unit on and off, just hold the source button in. If we then go into the front wardrobe, we have the digital amplifier for the television aerial. We do not need to do anything with these particular aerials. We just need to make sure that the power is on, and we can adjust the boost just here. The Dometic fridge operates on these buttons, on and off, just here. And then select your power source just here. So we have main supply on the little picture of the 2-pin plug. And then we have gas. It will automatically ignite itself. And if it fails to light, you will get a beeping noise. And if you just believe it may just be to a bit of air in the system, you can press this little warning triangle just here, and it will then attempt to relight itself. 12 volt maintained for when you're towing on this one here. So at the moment, if I do press this, we are going to get the beeping noise because we are not hitched up to a tow vehicle. Temperature control just here. And then open just here. We have the freezer box. And then we also have this bit here. So if you just push it slightly in and then slide it towards you, will allow you to then hold the door on ajar for when you're not using. We have the microwave just here. I always suggest removing the plate, etc. for travel. We then have the usual stuff: quick start, stop just here, auto menu, defrost, power settings, etc. The microwave is plugged in this overhead locker, and then also in here we have the solar panel regulator. You'll see a green flashing light letting you know that UV light is hitting the panel, and then the red light is letting us know that the solar panel is currently charging the battery. When the battery is fully charged, it will then go to a solid green light. We have the 3 gas rings, and it's just push in, twist, and then just press the igniter. There we go. Beneath that we then have the grill. And then lastly, the oven. Storage underneath the oven, and if we just go beside it, you will find a few gas isolation taps. Wherever there's a gas appliance, you will find a gas isolation tap. They are more for maintenance than anything else. Just make sure that they are turned on. They're mainly only for maintenance. As we move to the back, we then have the rear wardrobe with the freestanding table, and then the washroom. So we have the basin just here. We then have the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the travel crack catch is across. And then we have the Thetford cassette toilet. To open the cassette, just slide here on the grey lever. and then push to flush. If this lever has been left open and you try to remove the cassette, it will not come out. So if you are feeling resistance, just make sure nobody's left the flap open. And we have the level indicator just at the top here.